Hi, this is Everetts Watercolors. Welcome to my classroom. I'm broadcasting from Chesapeake, Virginia, and this is my fifth broadcast. I can't keep track of them now. I'll be numbering down the road. But welcome you all aboard, and we're going to have a lot of fun today. I picked a scene that has a lot of trees in it, an autumn scene. And but my real question today is, how can we simplify and how can we really translate that scene into something that's easier to paint and give us an easy way to control? So that's what I'm going to do today. And down here on my left is my subscribe button right here on the left, bottom left corner. So subscribe to my channel so that you can be informed of my next videos. And also go into my website, which is www.everettswatercolors.com, and I have all the previous recordings of all the other broadcasts, including the one today will be there after today's broadcast. So without any further ado, let me go to my overhead camera to my painting table, and let me get started. Okay, this is the reference photograph. And it's a landscape with lots of leaves and so forth. But my real topic today is, how do we approach this, and how can we simplify this scene? It's pretty complicated with all the different colors, and then you've got the different textures and different shapes. So that's what we're going to go over today. How we can simplify this and get some approaches on how to paint this scene. Because I've always loved trees, and I've always loved the autumn. The autumn is so beautiful with all the different colors. So what I've done, I've taken this photograph, and I've gone ahead and done my design sketch, which I always do. The design sketch is here, and what I'm showing is I put the trees in there. I selected the elements out of the photograph. Took the photograph, and I select the elements that I like. I like the trees. This area here, which is this yellow bush and the roadway, that's going to be my real area of interest. Oh, let me put my open comments here. Okay, I got the chat room on, so those of you who want to have a question or want to say hello, here I am. So let's go back to what I was saying here, that I've gone ahead and put in the major elements here. And I've added, what I've done here is I've also indicated areas. For example, this is an orange area. So I've taken the large color areas and I've broken them down into little sections. There's an orange area, and I've got a red area and a yellow. I've got some yellow here. And also I put my I've got a little value study down here in the right-hand corner. And you can see I've got a light area and a dark area around the outside. So that's my design concept of how I can simplify the scene in terms of shapes. But then there's certain tools we can talk about. First of all, we could paint this. Now I've gone ahead and just taken a piece of watercolor paper. This is a quarter sheet, 140-pound Gemini watercolor paper. It measures 15 by, let's see, it's 15 by 12 inches, 12 inches high and 15 inches long. A quarter sheet. 140 pound. And what I put the shapes in here in this particular scene, and just taking a paintbrush, and I can go in and I'll go ahead and put the colors in. So I can use a regular paintbrush, and I'm going to have to go around, let's say here, and also use the edges of the brush to define the shapes of those leaves. But this is very painstaking, and also it would take a lot of brush work to do that. So, but that's one way to do it. I could paint it with a brush, and that's one way I've done it before. So using a brush is okay. It'll give me some abstract shapes and so forth. But look for something a little more interesting, a little more challenging. So what I'm going to do here now, let's try some other tools. The next tool that I would probably use would be a sponge. This is a natural sponge. And you can see it's got nice texture, lots of grooves in and so forth. And what I can do here is I can dip this into the paint And then I can get a nice little design here. So I could use a sponge to get some of the technique down, to give me some of the texture. So that's one other way to do it, would be to use a sponge. I could also use that brush again, and I'm going to load the brush up with some paint. And I could also splatter. Give me dots and dashes and so forth. A little less control because the splatter is going to go everywhere. Okay, so that's another way I could do that. I could use the brush. I could use the brush to put some dots on the paper with a splatter technique. Also, I could use the toothbrush. Just load it up with paint, and I can go down and just rub on the edge of the bristles. And I could come along and do a spray technique. So I could use the toothbrush here to give me another pattern of shapes and so forth. And then finally, what I really decided, what I want to really do is play with the spray bottles. So what I've done here is I've got my whole palette in a bottle, dot sprayer, and a palette in a bottle, fine mist sprayers. Black top is a fine mist, and the white top is the dot sprayer. And the patterns here is a very light pressure on the top gives me a nice dot pattern, and I can cover a large area very quickly with the spray bottle. And with the fine mister, make sure I shake it up, and you'll notice here. Notice the pattern. I get it down here. I can also. You see the pattern here with a fine mist. I get a different pattern. I get a fine mist here. So I might be okay for the pathway or something like that. The palette in a bottle, dot sprayer, and fine mist are available on my website, everettswatercolors.com. And it's exclusively sold on Everetts Watercolors. So that's the only place you can get the palette in a bottle is on everettswatercolors.com. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to use the spray bottles, and I'm going to do this particular painting. I think it'll cover a lot faster and so forth. The only other thing I'm going to do is that when I use the spray bottle, I'm going to use I could use some shields. And here's a piece of old watercolor paper, and what I've done, I cut it into shapes here so that I can put it down and I can cover areas of the painting that I don't want to get sprayed on, and I can spray. So I can use some shields made out of paper. I can also cut holes in pieces of paper if I want to have a certain area that I want a certain color, and then spray into that. So I can prepare different things just using old pieces of watercolor paper to make myself some stencils. So I can make my own stencils to cover parts of the painting I protect. So that's another way. That's another thing I'm going to do today. So let me put this aside. So what I've done here, I've gone ahead. I went ahead and I did the drawing. I did the sketch of my design on a quarter sheet of 140-pound Gemini watercolor paper. And I got the shapes and so forth in there that I like. And then I could use a spray bottle to get this in there. But what I decided to do, rather than to me, doing it this way is very restrictive. In other words, it's like, like painting, I got to stay within the lines. I've got the lines drawn. I know where I want to put things, but it restricts me a little bit into my thinking. So I've decided to put this aside, and I'm going to put just a plain piece of paper, and I'm going to use the spray bottles. And this is what I did. This is the result here. Now, what I've done, so I'll show you how I did this, because it takes time. I sprayed it with one color, then I had to let it dry, then I sprayed with another color, let it dry. It would take a little while for me to demonstrate that particular portion. So what I've done is I've done a little video, and I'm going to show you the steps that I went through to get to this stage right here. So let me play that right now for you. There's the palette in the bottle, dot spray, and fine mister. Those are on everettswatercolors.com. And I started out by spraying with the yellow lemon with a dot sprayer. Then I put yellow ochre. I used the dot sprayer, but you can interchange the tops. You saw the black top on there, but you can interchange the two tops between the sprayers. Now I'm adding a little bit of orange. There's a red. I added red around the side. And then I used quinacridone violet. There's a dark area on the side of the painting, so I did that. Now take notice here. What I'm doing is I'm actually painting the scene with the spray bottles. I'm not following any lines. I'm just looking at the photograph there. You can see the picture I put up to the right, top right there. And I'm following the shapes, and I'm designing with the spray bottles where I want to put those colors. So this is really an abstract, really one-of-a-kind type paintings using the spray bottle technique. Now I'm going to put a little more yellow orange and look at the photograph, and I see, oh, I need a little more orange in there. So I'm adding, again, I'm modifying the areas. I'm going to add a little more, I think that's yellow. Yeah, that's the yellow lemon. I'm adding the yellow lemon into that light area again. So I'm really following the photograph to give me an idea of where I want to put things. And I can add yellow on top of dark. Now here I'm using a little piece of tissue as a shield, and I'm going to spray some more red in there. But I put the shield there so that I can control where the dots are going to land. You can see the fine dots there. It looks just like leaves. And that's what I'm looking for. A nice dot pattern to simulate the leaves. I take away the shield, and there I have the results. So let's go back to the overhead camera. So that's how I did that. That's how I did that. I put that down on this. This is the results of what I did with the design. And I actually, as I said, I painted this scene just by putting the dots on here. And I was thinking about some of the old masters. Remember, there's a term called pointillism, which was done by several masters. Seurat did a pointillism painting, several of those, where he put small dots to do a painting. Well, this isn't the same thing, but it's a similarity of the dots making up patterns here of the actual design. Now you notice here, if I look at the photograph, I've got the colors in there. I've got the oranges and the reds and the yellow area. But let's say I'm going to show you a technique here of how I can add trees. I'm just going to show you how we get started. So I'm going to start adding this tree right here on the left-hand side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some tape. This is the frog tape. I'm going to take a strip of that. And what I'm going to do, here's a technique. I'm going to tear it in half. And this tape tears very nicely. It's very easy to follow. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put this down, and by tearing the tape, it gives me a rough edge. It gives me a rough edge, which is what I want. So I'm going to put that down there. And on the other side, I can use the other side. I'll get the other side of the tree. And you'll notice the tree gets a little thinner at the top. Okay. Now I'm going to put a couple more pieces of tape, because I want to protect the light area over here. So I'm shielding it off with a little bit of tape here. That's another way to shield. I could use the tissue. I could use the watercolor paper. In fact, I may put a little more over here anyway. Now I'm going to put a little more on this side. So I got everything protected except where I want that tree to go. Okay, now the next thing I'll do is I will also, I only want the tree to go up so far, and I want to probably cut that off about right there. So I'll protect the top as far as I want to go, and now I'll also protect the bottom, because that's as far down as I want to go. And then just to be safe, when you're using dot sprayers or any kind of sprayer, you want to make sure you protect the outside edges, because you don't want anything out to get. All you want is that one area of wet. Now I'm going to pick up some color here. I'm going to use the quinacridone violet color, and I'm going to use the fine mist sprayer, because the fine mist sprayer won't leave any dots. It'll just cover the area. And I'm going to spray that a couple times. Then I'm going to add a little bit of my favorite color, Cotton Bottle, with a fine mist, burnt sienna. I love that color. Okay. All right. So I spray the area I want. Now I carefully take off the shields. It's almost like opening up a birthday present, where you're taking all the package apart. Then I take off the tape. And you can see all the other parts of the painting are all protected. I'm being very careful here. And then you go down. Now it's still wet, but I'm going to take it off just because I want you to see the results. So I'm not going to let it dry. Now the rough edge of that paper gave me the rough edge of the tree. That's what I wanted. I didn't want to have a straight edge. If I just put the tape on there without tearing it, I would have gotten a perfect straight edge. But I wanted a rough edge with the edge of the paper. Okay, now voila, I have my tree. So I can do that with the other trees on the painting, and I can add limbs and so forth. So that's how I would add an element here to this particular painting. Once I've done the spray bottle technique, then I would go in and mask out those areas that I want to put detail. So this is one detail, putting a tree trunk. Okay, and then I could use other parts. If I have a curve here, I can go in and I can spray in the roadway. If I'm looking for that roadway of the curve, looking for the curve down here of the picture, then I could get a piece of, or I could cut myself out a mask, and I could go ahead and spray around this area. So I can come up with all kinds of ways of protecting the paper as I'm painting. So what I've done is I've gone ahead, because it takes a little while for everything to dry and then to respray and so forth. I've gone ahead and I've done another final painting. And there it is. That's my landscape done with spray bottles. And I've used some masking, but I used the tape on these trees. You can see those. I did the 4 trees, and I didn't do any masking here. I just very carefully went around the area here. I did get a couple brush work here when I put in the background trees, and I used a little brush work up here to put the limbs in. But over 90% of this was done just with spray bottles. Now at this stage, I would call this not abstract, but I would call it a impressionistic painting. Impressionistic. It has the impression of the fall scene, has an impressionistic of a landscape, and so it would be an impressionistic. Now, if I wanted to get more realistic with it, I wanted to introduce another product that I use quite a bit. And I'm going to have to prop this up so there's a shine here from my overhead. So let me prop this up so you can still see it. And this is called Duralar. And Duralar is a wet media acetate, which I can paint on, and I can do some evaluation of where I want to put things. So it gives me a chance to evaluate the design before I make any changes. So here's a piece of my Duralar that I took out of here. It comes in, we sell it in single sheets on a website, everettswatercolors.com, and it's 11 by 14 size. But it's clear. It's a clear mylar, but it's made for watercolor. It's a wet media acetate. You can use acrylic on it or watercolors. But I want to demonstrate here how I could use this. I'm going to take another paintbrush. Now let's say I wanted to refine or I want to darken this up. But before I do it, let me test. I'll take a brush and I'll just go here on top. Paint. And I could actually test out the design change that I'm making. So I can go over here, I can make changes here on this mylar, this wet media acetate, and it will not affect the painting at all. Now, also, I would like to say another area I would probably want to work on would maybe put a little more detail on this little bush over here, so I can play around with how much more detail I want to put on that. And then in the background, I may want to put some more shadow, so I may want to darken this up just a little bit, so I can put little changes here on this mylar just to see what would happen if I make those changes. Okay. And if I want to add a color, if I want to darken this up a little bit over here or lighten it up, I want to put some more yellow down here, so I can play around with this with color or with value to see if I want to add more design or more techniques or whatever. Do I want to add some green in here for some more bushes or whatever? I could find out if I want to add green. Maybe there's some little bit of grass. So the Mylar gives me a chance, and it's washable. I just take a sponge, and it comes right off. So it's waterproof. It's reusable. You buy 1 or 2 sheets of this, and you got it for life. You never have to buy another sheet. I would recommend if you buy it, you buy at least 2 sheets. This is a quarter sheet. So if you have larger paintings, you might want to put this. You might want to get a couple of these to put on a half a sheet, or buy a couple more for your friends or your for someone else you'd like to share it with. So that's the Duralar. Very important product that I use in my art a lot. Get this out of the way. I wanted to show again that the dot spray bottles and the fine mist spray bottles, they're very unique, and that's a tip for today is a dot spray bottle. And the tip for today is I would recommend that everybody get a set of dot spray bottles and fine mist bottles. I started with a set of 6, a minimum of 6 at least, 6 dots, 5 dot sprays and 1 or 2 couple of fine misters. Because they can hold water for spraying your palette, and they can also use that to spread your paint. And the other key thing about these is I can interchange the tops. In other words, if I have the red here, for example, using it as a dot, and I want to spray it in a fine mist, all I have to do is interchange the tops. So I can put the fine mist sprayer top on top of this, and it'll come out with that fine mist spray. And I think I demonstrated that to you before, what it looks like. Between the 2 sprays. Okay. All right, I'm going to take it back to the main camera. Okay, I was really excited about that painting. I tell you, I really had a lot of fun doing that. It did take some time to do it because I had to do a layer and then let it dry and do another layer. But it really was true. I painted that painting just with spray bottles. I put very little shields on there, only to protect the light areas, and that was the only place. The impact area, which was the yellow bush and the roadway a little bit, I wanted to protect those more than the rest of the painting. The rest of it, I just kind of had fun using the spray bottles. But that was an interesting way to do a painting. I think it's an abstract way to do a painting, and in this case, it's a good way to do an impressionistic painting, and to make it look really colorful and with a lot of expression, and it gives a lot of detail, and I get a lot of texture out of that. If you'll take a look at that photograph, you can see the texture I got, the leaves, and let me bring it up closer to you. I mean, when you set that and you look at a painting like this. When you look at a painting like this, you don't look at it up close like that. You look at it. You might want to look at it to see. I look at a painting up close like that if I want to see how the painting was painted or how it was done, or what kind of strokes did the artist use, to give you a clue of how you could possibly learn from that. But the way to observe a painting, you put it at least 6 or 8 feet away and then observe the painting. And this painting here, you put it 5 or 6 feet away, and it really stands out. It captures your eyes and takes you right to the impact area, which is what I wanted to do. And then it also shows you the textures involved and the actual colors. It really puts you into the scene. I think it really did work. So I want to thank you for watching my video, and I want to invite you to subscribe. I want to invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. EverettsWatercolors.com is my website, and I have other videos on there. You can go onto my website, EverettsWatercolors.com, and I have videos on there where this will be located also. And on YouTube, I have a lot of other videos. I have a lot of videos on spray bottles. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those links. I'm going to put those links into the bottom in the description of this video. I'll put the links to the videos that also have spray bottle techniques along with my website, so you can take a look at those. And I think you'll really enjoy some of the other things I've done. I've done quite a lot of other different views of other ways of using the spray bottles. So there's more than just one way of making leaves. So I want to thank you all for joining me today. And don't forget to give me some comments and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And those of you that are on Facebook, give me a like and give me some comments also. I'd like to get back to you and reply to your questions and reply to your comments. So I'll see you next week. It'll be, let me check the date. I think 1 week from today is the 23rd of December. So I'll see you next week on my next video.